with your muscly legs.
Hi, I'm Mo, and I want to do a 3-day nonfiction November reading vlog because I'm struggling a little bit with nonfiction November. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. Well, okay, so I say that. I don't read a lot of nonfiction generally, but that's not entirely true. I read about one nonfiction book a month. And even though nonfiction can be quite accessible and there's tons of different nonfiction that you could read, I do find it difficult to get into nonfiction a lot of times, and I do find that the reading material is a little bit more dense, even if it's kind of a lighter subject or more informative book. It's hard for me sometimes to get into those like informative books because there's no story to like carry you along. Whereas like a biography or something like that, which is also nonfiction, or a memoir, has a story, but I think because it's more based in reality and it's nonfiction, it's a little bit harder to get into. So anyway, so it's Monday today. It is Monday, November 16th. I've only read one book this month. I've only finished one book in November. It was a nonfiction book. I'm not going to talk about it here. And I'm reading Basquiat, A Quick Killing in Art, which is a Basquiat biography, and I am on page 230. This book has 400 pages, but the last like 50 pages are notes and bibliography, so I'm not counting that, so it has like 350 pages, so I have about 120 pages to go. I would like to finish this. It's Monday today. I would like to finish this by Wednesday and start a new book. Today we have a lot to do. We're going to visit my mom, socially distanced. I have chores to do and errands to run. It's kind of the second day of my weekend, so I was off yesterday and I did nothing but sleep all day and just kind of recoup from the week. It was a rough week. So today is the day that we really have to get stuff done. Tomorrow I have to go to work, so I definitely plan on reading a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow, and then Wednesday I have off again. So I want to get Basquiat done by Wednesday at the latest, and then I want to pick up another nonfiction book if I can. This book, which I got recently used, it's Mike Doty, who is a musician's memoir, but obviously, as the title implies, The Book of Drugs, it's about drugs and his dealing with drugs and his battle, as well as his music and his life and all that kind of stuff. So this maybe is too similar to Basquiat, too much of the drug theme, too much of the 80s and 90s drug theme. I have One Minute Manager that my friend Rick gave me a really long time ago. I have, which I talked about in my last vlog, William Carlos Williams, The Doctor's Story. So this is the poet William Carlos Williams, some of his case studies and stories about being a doctor. It's a possibility. Really gross on it. It has like water damage. I don't know if you can see that. It is about Greenwood Cemetery, and I've been really missing Greenwood Cemetery. We used to go there all the time when we lived in Brooklyn. This is my second reading vlog, so we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna try and like talk a little bit more about books and have it be a little bit more bookish. So we'll see how much reading I can get done and if I can kind of kickstart my reading again, because I have been, I mean, not slumpy, but like the Basquiat book's a little bit longer than I usually read a book, and you know, it's like one of those like where it's just really like slow going. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye. not very soft. Why is that? Hi, it's Mo. It is Tuesday and the second day in my 3-day reading vlog, Monday through Wednesday reading vlog. I was able to read quite a bit yesterday. No, not that much. I think I was over 50 pages, so like maybe 60 or 70 pages in Basquiat, which I was reading, which is really good. It's definitely, I mean, it's a book about Basquiat and about his life, but it's as much about the art scene in the 80s and like commerce art scene, and as much about like how the art scene was all about money and how Basquiat kind of ties into that because he was so hell-bent on being famous and being rich, and like the ridiculous amount of money that he spent every day and the ridiculous amount of drugs that he took every day. Irving's trying to get in, I don't know why. And how that affected like his self-esteem and how that affected his career and how that affected his work. So it is really interesting. It's definitely repetitive, like even to the point where she, you know, 5 chapters earlier will have said the exact same kind of story. She'll say it again. So I do think she could have benefited from a better editor. It's also like 400 pages, which is like too long. That's too long for anything. Like you should be able to get your point across in a much more concise manner. And she really delves into like each individual dealer that he had, art dealer, not drug dealer, art dealer that he had, which, like, she'll spend, like, a whole chapter on them, and I'm like, who cares? Like, is this a book about Basquiat, or is this a book about art dealers? I don't know. Also, the timeline is, like, all over the place. Like, you're in 1983, you're in 1986, you're in 1980, you're in 1981, you're in the 60s with the art dealers. Like, it's a lot. So anyway, my coffee doesn't taste good today. I don't know why. So I use like a reusable coffee filters, and I just wash them, and I always wash them like just in the wash with like my other like towels and napkins and like dish towels and stuff, and it tastes like, I don't know, maybe there was something in there that had like a little bit of like mildew on it or something, so it's got like this mildewy taste, which like I don't not like. That's gross. So I'm trying to brew another cup, but then like what am I going to do with this? I don't want to throw it away. Anyway, we'll see. I've got to do some laundry, I've got to fold some clothes, and then I will hopefully read a little bit, like maybe 10 or 15 pages before I have to leave. I know I'm not going to get like too far into it, but maybe I can read like a chapter, and that's where we're at. Oh, Marty. Oh, Marty. You want this open? There. Ready, Irving? You ready? What do you want? It's Wednesday morning. I'm still in my pajamas. It's only like 9:30 or something, but and my coffee is much better today. So last night I worked. I got to walk home. You saw a little bit of that. I was so cold though. It's so cold here now, which stinks, but it's only gonna get colder, so I shouldn't complain about it yet. I did some chores. I cleaned the bathroom. I took a bath, and I got to read quite a bit. of my book. I think I only have about a chapter left in the Basquiat book. I don't know if I would recommend this book. I would say if you know Basquiat, this is an interesting read, but it is as much about the history of the art world in the 80s and about the history of galleries and the idea of artists being a commodity and how that affected young artists of the time. So if you already know about Basquiat, I would say, yeah, go ahead and read it, although it is really long and needs an editor. If you don't know about Basquiat, I would not suggest this book. I would suggest a book that has more to do with his actual work, his actual paintings. This book does not have any of his paintings in it, and it mentions a lot of the titles of the paintings, which, if you're familiar, is like fine because you'll know some of them. I know some of them. I know enough about his work, and I've seen enough of his work in person to like know what they're talking about, even if I don't know like every single painting that they mention. But if you don't know his work, definitely get a book with his work in it, because his work is amazing. Because if you've ever seen his work, it's so powerful and evocative, and it's so beautiful and harsh that then reading this book is a little bit of a letdown. So if you already know his work, you know how great it is. If you don't already know his work, this might turn you off to it. So I would say don't read this book if you don't know his work. I have some chores to do, some more chores to do. This is a very chory vlog. I have some more laundry to do. I have to remake the bed. I have to do the dishes again. I don't know how we generate so many dishes, but we do. I'm really trying to avoid going out. We're not in lockdown again yet, but I feel like we should be. We did see my mom, but we were socially distanced and wore masks. We did eat, but we ate at like separate tables in the yard, so we ate outside. I'll check back in when I've read that chapter, or when I've started a new book, or when something happens, and I'll see you then. So I'm having a very similar breakfast to what we had for dinner last night, but I was still kind of craving it, and I forgot I had these rice noodles that I had to eat up. So I'm having rice noodles with broccoli and red cabbage and some sesame seeds for breakfast. I'm not much of a like breakfasty breakfast person. I like to eat pasta a lot of times for breakfast, which maybe is not the best, but it's delicious. And the sauce on this is actually really old. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got Chinese food takeout, which we don't normally do because it comes with so much plastic. We had scallion pancakes, and the scallion pancakes had a sauce on them. And this sauce I saved, we had extra of it still. So this sauce is actually from that, just so as not to waste it. And then I will clean out the plastic container that it came in, and I will recycle that as well. Flounder is chilling, and Marty is not chilling. Today is Thursday, and I did finish my 3-day reading vlog yesterday on Wednesday. Some of the last footage that I took was of me picking out books for a video. It was a video that is going to come out before this one, and I tried to film it like 3 times, and I just could not get it right. I was unhappy with anything. I'll insert like a little clip right here. Was I not filming that whole time? I might not have been. Shoot. Okay. Of me filming it and filming it terribly. I wasn't filming the first time. The second time the lighting was crazy. this last time was good enough. After that, I was able to finally finish Basquiat. I didn't finish it until about 5 o'clock at night. I read the last chapter, and the last chapter of Basquiat, A Quick Killing in Art, was almost a perfect encapsulation of the book itself. The last chapter starts out in this very linear manner of recapping Basquiat's life from birth to becoming famous to death. So they get about as far as becoming famous, and then the whole chapter disintegrates. The author is going along describing Basquiat's life. You think you're wrapping up this book, you're wrapping up his life, right? And then all of a sudden in the middle, it's a bunch of stuff about the art world, which is not strictly relevant, and then all of a sudden it's describing every single one of his self-portraits, and then the end is almost like criticizing him. Ultimately, like, the very end of the book is like a opinion by the author of like life, and I was like, what is happening? Like, so like I said before, I think this is an interesting book if you already know Basquiat and you already know his work and you're interested in that scene. Yes, go for it. Read this book. But otherwise, skip it. It's not well written. It was interesting and had a lot of interesting things, but it is not well written. And then I went to figure out what I wanted to pick up next, and I picked up like 4 or 5 books, and I like looked at all of them and I couldn't decide. So I did end up going with this book about Greenwood Cemetery, which actually ties in really well because Jean-Michel Basquiat is buried in Greenwood Cemetery, and I have visited his grave. What I didn't realize about this book is that it's an Images in America book. So it's basically all pictures. I thought there was like a story, you know, not a story, but like a history in there as well, but that's great. I'm totally fine with that. I got about a third of the way through it last night before I went to bed, and I'm going to finish it today, which is nice. It's going to be like a quick little boon to my November reading, which will be great. So I'm going to finish this picture book of Greenwood Cemetery, and then I'm going to move on to The Tale of Beatrix Potter, a Beatrix Potter biography. And that wraps up my 3-day vlog. See you in the next one. Thanks. Bye. I say way too much in my videos, and I cut them all out and it gets all choppy and weird.